Sheila, welcome to the Vermillion Unplugged. How are you doing today?
Doing well, thank you, and thank you for having me on.
So honestly, you are one, I want to say, on my list, number 2 of people saying, hey, you need to get this person on. Almost every single person that's worked at USD, they would say, hey, try to get the president, I'll try to get her, Sheila on. And then I'm like, well, I feel like she's not going to answer, or they're not going to answer. But no, you're here. So
Here I am.
Yeah, I'm excited. Number 1 is the governor, which I feel like there's no way I could get her on. But I'm so excited. But so first of all, what do you do?
I am the president of the University of South Dakota, and what I do depends on the day, I swear.
So, and this is where I'm asking a lot of questions. So was it always planned? Like, did you always want to be the president of USD since you were a kid? Or how did it turn out?
That was not at all the plan. And this is what I tell a lot of people is just prepare yourself when opportunities arise, right? My plan, from high school, I was going to be a partner in a CPA firm. I ended up getting in a car accident in college and needed to replace my car. So I took the first job that was offered to me, which ended up being in state government, and have just never looked back. It's been a fantastic career. I came to USD, and the goal when I arrived in 2006 was vice president for finance. Hit that goal, figured that's where I would end my career, and had a lot of people ask me if I would consider the presidency, and here I am. So
when did you become the president?
In June of 2018, officially.
Oh, so 2018, and then you had those years it was right before that COVID stuff, right?
It was.
How was it? Was it stressful?
No one warned me about a once-in-a-century pandemic. It was very stressful at times because not a lot of people knew a lot about what to do at the time. It was an extremely unknown situation, but made our campus, I think, stronger and more resilient, and we learned a lot about ourselves that maybe we wouldn't have learned otherwise. So
okay. Now, are you originally from here or the Midwest, or?
I'm actually literally grew up on a small farm about 60 miles west of here. So very familiar with the area. Used to spend a lot of time in Vermillion for music contests and you name it. So I always knew about the University of South Dakota, always loved it, always familiar with it.
Did you play music also?
I did.
What'd you play?
I played the trumpet.
Oh, snap. As a musician. Kind of-ish.
In high school.
That's cool. So also, people are telling me that, and you explained it too, so before becoming president, you were the vice president. What were you before that with your career?
Before that, I was the director of budget and finance. That's how I was recruited here. Prior to coming to Vermillion, I had a 4-year stint out in Kalispell, Montana, very close to Glacier National Park. And I was the CFO for the community college out there. And then prior to that was 10 years of service with South Dakota state government as a finance officer in a variety of different departments.
And do you like the job? Do you enjoy it?
I do, most days. But I think that's probably with any job. You enjoy most things.
So what is a typical day? Or actually, let me get back to it. What does the president do for the university? What is the job?
How much time did you say we had? It does kind of depend on the day, the year, the time of year. In the summer, there's a lot of time spent going around and visiting with donors. During legislative session, there's a lot of time spent talking about our budget requests or perhaps some legislation that we'd like to see get through. In April is chaos, but it is the most fun chaos because everyone's sort of wrapping up their student organizations and various organization activities that have gone on for the year. So we all have celebrations. May is obviously graduation. August is spent getting campus ready and getting ready for move-in day for the new students. lots of meetings with business partners around the state, figuring out what we need to do in terms of recruiting and marketing, talking through academic programming, what fits, what's within our mission, dealing with cybersecurity threats and how to make sure we don't have one of those. And it's always, of course, looking at finances, making sure that we're healthy financially and that we're a going concern and that things are in good shape there. The facilities, always trying to improve on those and make sure that our campus is a good environment for our students and that they have contemporary and modern learning spaces. And then there's, athletics facilities and housing facilities. And yeah, the list is long, but it's fun.
You're, I'm guessing, always busy.
Yes.
Do you ever have like some free time to yourself?
Periodically. What I've done in my free time, I've taken one legitimate vacation where I was forced to not be on my phone the entire time. My family and I went to Belize, and as you can imagine, it's a little bit more difficult unless you're going to pay a premium to get access to your phone, and so it was really actually quite nice.
Do you also travel? I know like you'll travel like in state and maybe other places, but it doesn't have to be for work. But do you also travel like somewhere around the world? Like how you mentioned Belize or anything like that?
Yeah, that's probably the one that was the furthest. Obviously been to Canada, been to Mexico, been all throughout the United States. I'll put it this way, I haven't crossed the pond yet. And that is more a product of me getting a little bit claustrophobic in a plane after a while. I think I would need some sort of prescription or sleep meds or something to get through a trip that goes that long in a plane, because I start getting real antsy about moving around more and all the things. So,
what part of Mexico did you go to, if you remember?
We went to Zuatneo and Ixtapa.
Oh, Ixtapa.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's absolutely stunning.
See, it was, I think 2 or 3 years ago. I didn't go, but my mom, my dad, and my sister, they went there. They said Ixtapa, and then they showed me all the pictures. I couldn't because we just got here, I think, or we were just adjusting, so we couldn't get time off. And they said it was very beautiful and this and that. And I saw the pictures. I'm like, oh, great. But we finally went to Mexico after 4 years over the summer, and I had a blast. It was fantastic.
Where'd you go?
It's called Guanajuato. So if people are familiar, so there's a map of Mexico, and then you can see the capital, like Mexico City. Go just up north, and I think it's like a 6-hour drive up north. It's still central Mexico. That's where my wife was born. That's where my kid was born too. And we'll get into that too. So a lot of people think, for some reason, they think Mexico is like really hot. I think it's hot up north, but where like my family's from, it's in the valleys and mountains, so it's very cool. Well, I think the weather's cool because I'm used to the hot weather from Texas,
right?
So I think it's beautiful. I really like it. The only thing, like my wife was saying, she said it gets hot. I'm like, when does it get hot? It never gets hot. When I go, it's never hot. But I guess they don't have that typical like here, it's like a 4 weather or a 4 seasons,
right? I
think over there, they have a wet and dry season in that location, because in May, or when we go like in the summer, it will rain, but they say in May it reaches like 100 degrees. And the bad thing over there is most of the houses, like majority, they don't have air conditioning.
Sure.
So it gets like hot.
Yeah.
But I'll get enough of that.
All right.
So also another question I got, are you technically like my boss, or how does that work? Not really.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think I'm technically your boss.
Okay. I want to see if I can get more comfortable. But no, that's cool. So, another thing I have a question about. So that house, because I always see it during Halloween, and everyone goes to that house. Do you guys like live the majority of the time in that house?
So we did for a time. More recently, we've discovered that, or we purchased a home on the river over just a couple miles out of town. And so we've transitioned that living quarters, which is all upstairs, into transition housing. So because people have such a hard time finding a house or somewhere to move when we hire them, it gives individuals a little bit more time to find the house or close on a house here in Vermillion or find an apartment. And it's worked out extremely well in a couple instances. The first time we used it out was when our athletic director, John Schemmel, was appointed to the job. He wanted to hit the ground running and get going right away, but wasn't able to close on his house very soon. And commuting from Madison, South Dakota wasn't very practical in winter in particular. And so then he used one of the studio apartments that are now upstairs. And then when he recruited someone similar situation, they were there for about a month, and that's available for that situation. But then also when we have maybe a visiting professor that's going to be on campus for a week, it's so much more comfortable to stay in a place like that than perhaps a hotel for a week. And then the main floor we use for entertaining. And because of its size now, smaller departments can have events of their own in that space. And it's just much more cozy and intimate and meaningful for those departments to use that. I think of the law school, they had their holiday party at Inman House on that main floor, and it's just perfect for those sorts of things. So it's really gotten more use now than it had before.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's really really cool.
Yeah.
Has there always been there always has been, because I've been asking a lot of people. They say there's like always a housing shortage in town.
Yes.
Has it always been like that with students, with everyone?
It seems like ever since I looked at my first house moving here in 2006. I think when we looked, there were 3 houses available that sort of met our criteria. And it's everything I hear each and every year, there's always a housing crunch or shortage of some sort. You know, when the Heights and the quarters were added, that's 770 beds came to Vermillion, and it's still full. So yes, the housing demand is great here in Vermillion.
Okay. Is it the same is there more demand with students, with families, or it's all probably the same?
I think it's all of the above. I mean, the campus has certainly grown, especially this year. But I think also the community of permanent residents is growing as well.
Okay. Oh, and also, because yesterday, whenever this is aired, you had the address, and I was watching it because I thought it was gonna be on Zoom, but it was on YouTube. But I saw the first, I think it was the 15 minutes, and then on my end, I don't think it was the YouTube's end. The live stream cut out, so I didn't get to see the whole thing. But you mentioned that the enrollment is growing.
Yes.
Well, why is that? Why are people so attracted over here?
Well, first and foremost, I'm going to brag on the quality of the education that students receive here. Our faculty are tremendous, and they're leaders in their fields and disciplines, and they're amazing at what they do. Secondarily, nationally, there's sort of this narrative out there questioning the value of education. And I think that's a fair question when people are charging $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 a year in tuition. And that is just not USD. The value proposition is here, and it's strong. And on top of that, you get a world-class education from some of the most committed faculty in the country, in my opinion.
And I agree. The faculty. So I work in the med school, and I started in September 2020. So yeah, I think I hit like 4 years. And I'm telling you, these faculty, I'm not doing it because I want to save my job, but these people, like these professors, are like, they're smart. The way when I'll tell this to all the people. They're like, hey, how's it? What's it like working in a lab or this and that? When I was doing it, I'm like, man, these people are amazing. Like one of my previous boss, it's XJ Wong.
Oh yeah,
man, he's
brilliant,
smart. And then like there's another person, Dr. Channy. Like they have all this. I don't know. I can't explain it, but when you talk to them, it sounds like when I watch a documentary or a YouTube video, like when they do interviews, I'm like, hey, I don't have to like watch. I could go up to these people and we could talk about it. Even like postdocs. There's a guy named, his name is Mark Buska. One of the smartest people I ever met. But also, and then now I work with Dr. Victor Huber for the Brent stuff. And, he's a professor in viruses and this and that. And brilliant people. Also, the staff and my coworkers, they're nice. They're amazing. You guys are great. Another thing, because my parents always asked her, like, how's it working at the university? Because I never thought I was going to work at university. I thought I was going to work for like a company or this and that. And I told them, like, man, it's actually, I think it's fun. It's very relaxing versus other jobs. The benefits are great. They're actually really cool. I like how, like, when you get, when it's a holiday, it's actually a holiday. Yeah. I don't have to go work like I did at Best Buy. But I really like it. And, but also, do you think, is the plan like, hey, you want the university to keep growing? Or, I don't know, do you guys have like, what's the goal?
That's a great question. I think our goal is probably at capacity, and we're really close, actually. There may come a time, God willing, there may come a time that USD becomes a little bit more selective on the Vermillion campus. Initially, when we had looked at this maybe 10 years ago, we thought the capacity would be about 1,500 incoming freshmen each year. But at that time, our graduate enrollment was closer to 2,000. Well, now, this year, our graduate enrollment's at about 3,000. So we're really looking at what is our undergraduate capacity, and it's probably in that 1,300, 1,350 range. And we've been really close to that each year for the last 3 years. So, I think from there, if we want to grow beyond that, we'll take some capital investment.
Okay. Is it, because you guys also have campuses in Sioux Falls, Rapid City?
So we're not at Rapid City. We have a very limited presence. That's with our medical school. Yankton, we have a medical school presence. And then, yes, Sioux Falls, we have both a medical school presence as well as the USD Sioux Falls campus, which is also booming and taking off. And that could be some opportunities for expansion for us as well in the future.
Okay. Another thing I've heard, I guess we could dive if you want to. So, because I think the Sioux Falls area, I'm from I say this every episode, people are annoyed. I'm from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So I'm used to like a big city. And when I came here, it's a small town. Mm-hmm. I adjusted. I think it's cool. I like it. Being in a small town is cool. And now I see there's a Sioux Falls area. And I know some people, they do like it, but they don't like it, moving this and that. But it would be a benefit, right? Because you get more options, especially if you're reaching people like a little further north, this and that. Like, I think it's positive, right?
Absolutely. And then, some of the other benefits then are there are potential students that want to be close to industry. That's where we do a lot of internships, is in Sioux Falls. It's the state's largest population center. And so having that opportunity in Sioux Falls to get your education, if you have a strong desire to do your internship in Sioux Falls, that opens up a lot of opportunities. There are those that maybe have a career already that they started early in high school. They love the company that they're working for. They want to add to their credentials. And then they don't have to stop out. They don't have to leave that job. They can continue their education and go to the USD Sioux Falls campus. So we really see it as a campus that complements what we're doing here in Vermillion and opens up a lot of doors and opportunities for the residents of the state's largest city.
So I know Sioux Falls is close to Brookings, and I want to talk about that rivalry. Do you and like the SDSU president, do you guys get into it, or is everything actually just calm? It's just the athletic stuff.
Actually, we are really good collaborators.
Okay.
We call each other because we have similar challenges, and if something happens in Brookings, he might reach out and say, have you had to deal with this? How did you deal with this? And vice versa. So it's really just all a facade on the athletic side where we're rivals. We're not at all rivals. I'm actually quite privileged to call Barry my friend.
Okay. Now, but what are the benefits of USD versus it could be like SDSU or like other universities in South Dakota? Like, why would you want someone to come to USD?
So USD is the flagship university of the state of South Dakota, first university. We have the liberal arts charge, and I think a lot of people don't know what liberal arts means. To me, that means we educate leaders, and leaders not in terms of a title, but leadership in terms of a set of skills. In the liberal arts, you're going to learn communication skills, critical thinking, problem solving, the ability to collaborate and work in teams, to be self-aware and self-reflecting. And those are really the traits that leaders generally have. And that's the foundation for everything. Built on that, of course, is all the professional schools as well. We have the preeminent business school in the state of South Dakota. We have the only medical school, the only law school. Our education school is tremendous, and the only college of fine arts in the state. So there are a lot of leading things, for lack of a better word, going on at the University of South Dakota. But I would say if you want to learn to be a leader, the University of South Dakota is a place for you.
Okay. And also, same thing, working there too? Because I feel like so I never went to school here, but working here, I swear, or maybe it's just the work experience, but throughout my studies in college versus, for example, like working with X.J. Wong in the lab at the med school, I feel like even like that 1 year, man, I feel like I learned a lot more doing that hands-on, especially because I guess it also depends on who you have. But like, he taught, for example, I'm not an expert or anything, but like, taught you how to, do experiments, how to do this, the same thing, the critical thinking. Well, it says this, but is it this, or even like writing papers, I was like, hey, finally got the opportunity when, to do like an experiment. We went to the convention in Madison, Wisconsin with all the students. And, I got to take my kid and my wife. And then I remember thinking, I was like, man, I'm just just research tech, but like I got the opportunity to do that stuff. I don't have to be like a student or a grad student. So I'm like, oh, so it's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And then now where I'm at right now at the Bryn, so it's kind of shifted. Now I'm more in the, I guess you call it the administrative side. Right. And then this is a funny thing. I thought, because my wife also works for the university. She's in the accounting department. And I would give her a hard time because I would be like, man, you guys get to sit in the office, you guys get a computer, and, you guys get to do anything you guys want. And she's like, no, it's not. It's way harder than I thought. And I'm like, man, hopefully I get like an office job. I finally do. And I swear, I think, like the balancing budgets and all this, I think it's way harder than doing like mouse heart surgeries. You guys, I don't know what you guys do, but now I appreciate y'all guys, or the assistants, program assistant. You guys have it all. Like, there's a bunch of emails. I cannot imagine all the emails you get.
Email is a lot.
Yeah, because you guys, the administrative side, and it takes a lot, especially, communicating. But it's cool because now I get to learn about the different departments, different people, because now I got to communicate what they do, then this, and it's not easy, especially running a university. But it's cool because now I got to learn all this stuff, and I do like it. Another thing I do want to ask too. So, and I've noticed this, especially when I came here. Like you mentioned, you guys got the only like law school, med school. Or I'm gonna speak with the med school. You guys have the only med school in the state. Uh-huh. In Vermillion, and it might be just different because university and Vermillion's, I don't know if they collab a lot. I think they do. But how come there's not a lot of like industry in town? I feel like it would be a great place.
I think it's a great place, and I think it's kind of a hidden gem. I don't know why there aren't a whole lot more businesses here in town, but I think if they ever spent any real time here, they'd want to be here, because I absolutely think this is a diamond in the rough.
And I think so too, especially with, and I'm not promoting Mark, but I'm just saying he's an amazing guy. Like, we were talking to him because a lot, and I talked to him, I talked to a lot of grad students and also a lot of professors. And I said, hey, what do you guys, do you guys just want to be professors? And they're like, it's cool, but they say they want to run like their own business. And I'm like, hey, why don't you guys do it? Why don't you do this? And they're like, and I would say, well, this would be a great place because also you got, for example, a lot of the grad students, I asked them too, and a lot of them also from their international students, like, do you guys like it here? They're like, yeah, they love it. I'm like, where are you going to go? And they're like, we'll probably go somewhere else. I'm like, how come? They're like, well, it's because there's not, an industry job, like, it could be like research or in a biotech company, this and that. And they say if there was one here or super close, they would stay. And I feel like that's only, like, I guess, field I'm more I understand a little bit more because the workforce is here.
Right.
If they did have, like, for example, just a biotech company somewhere in town or somewhere outside of town, you already got the grad students that they're willing. They already have they have the experience already. What, 4, 5, 6 years? You got even, like, it could be some of the professors or the postdocs. They got knowledge. They know how to do the funding, this and that. That's how I think. I don't know if it's more complicated on the business side, but I do see like Vermillion, they are wanting to bring more stuff. Because I think also I've talked to a lot of people too, and they say it's such a shame because you have all these smart, like, same thing, students, and then they just leave. And it's cool. It's like, it's fine that they're leaving because, they're learning and you want them to branch out. But you're like, hey, it's really cool if they can stay a little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I went on a rant on that. But I don't know, do you see people wanting to tackle Vermillion in that aspect?
I hope so. I have not been on the chamber board for quite some time now, since, well, at least 6 years now. But we always talked about that. Is there a way to attract industry that aligns with the 2,000 graduates that come out of the University of South Dakota every year? And focusing in on recruiting that kind of business to Vermillion and into the state, into the area. And I am confident that the Chamber and Development Corporation are still having those conversations and working on that. But if we could get one to hit, I think that would be pretty incredible, because when you think about the professionals that graduate, other parts of the country are extremely jealous because the workforce is right here and they're having a hard time hiring. So I feel like if we could get those business and industry here, a lot of students would stay.
Yeah, I think so too. Do you guys also work a lot with the town, with Vermillion?
Yeah, and I think that close relationship started when I started serving on the chamber board years and years and years ago. And I feel really good about all that we've done together over the years. They were a wonderful partner in building the initial wellness center. They helped us get the arena out of the ground, which is a fantastic addition to campus. And then here most recently with expanding the wellness center and adding that large Olympic pool and the recreation pool and the hot tub and the steam room and all the things. They also were very generous to help us construct that facility. National Music Museum, I can't forget that one. Another very generous gift to partner in on focusing in on tourism to the community. So we've tried to do a lot together, and I feel like the relationship is pretty good.
What are those future projects that are coming? Like you mentioned, the expansion on that wellness center. That one's cool. I think when is it open? Like in March?
In the spring, we hope. Knock on wood. It's a little delayed. We had a couple of issues come up, but I think once we get that open, the community is just gonna absolutely love it. It's gonna be a tremendous benefit to faculty, staff, students, and the whole community.
Anything else any projects coming? I know, if I remember right, so who told me? Someone said that, I think on the stadium, that they might be adding, or am I completely wrong with that? They're renovating that where it used to be the pool and adding seats. Is that right?
So I don't know that we're that far along. We will be renovating the pool space. I'd be surprised if we were able to add a whole lot of seats. That's a lot of concrete to cut out of there and start over to add seats. So I think the seats will probably stay the same number. The areas that I could foresee getting renovated would be that pool where the pool was. And I think the current vision for that is to create another weight room, because our weight room is extremely taxed right now. We have 400 student athletes. And so if we could have another option for them, then we wouldn't have as many scheduling challenges, I don't think. And then also the concourse. That concourse was always very narrow because we had the dive well. And so there's sort of this dead space there in the concourse area. Well, now we'll be able to close that in and widen that concourse and provide some better circulation space.
Oh, okay. Okay. You're talking about the weight room for the student athletes, not the wellness center, right?
Correct.
Okay. Another thing that over the years, and I enjoy a lot, is the different sports you guys got. Because I've been to a high school football game, but I've never been to an NFL, or I haven't been to a college game.
Yeah.
And I didn't know like college football was like very intense.
Very.
Yeah. And I remember we went to the first one a few years ago, and I was like, whoa, the stadium it's nice. It's huge, and it gets intense. They actually, before in high school, they don't like throwing the ball. Now here they are. They're playing, they want to get to that next level. And it's really, really cool. My wife, there's no like American football or where she's from, and she didn't understand it, but she gets hyped. She still doesn't understand it, but I guess she's now understanding it, but she loves it. Like she gets intense. And then I brought my parents last year. It was around this time because it was in homecoming, and because they never been to a college football game.
Yeah.
And you could hear, when they're tackling and it's intense.
It is very intense. Yes.
I really like it. And then another thing, we started going last year, because we've been to the men's basketball game, and they play fast and quick. And then and it was the first time we went to a women's basketball game. It's because Grace Larkins, she's in a community group, and we heard she played football or basketball. Me, I cannot believe I did not know she played. And then
she's kind of a celebrity.
Yeah, apparently she's like right there because on the community group.
You should get her on this podcast.
I did.
Oh, good.
She was great. And then we went to the basketball game, and and it's my fault. First I was like, it's women's basketball. Isn't it like a lower tier? I was completely wrong. No. They play hard, especially her. Oh, yeah. Like they play hard.
Yes.
It's
hard, fundamental, really good basketball.
Yeah, so every time you guys hey, there's tickets available, we go. And then another new thing this year, and I think it was last week or last Friday or Saturday. No, Friday. We went to the volleyball game.
Oh yeah.
And I heard they were good.
They are really good.
They are really good. I've never seen like that level of volleyball. So I don't know if there's any sports I should be watching next, because the USD team I think they're pretty good.
I think they're all very good. I'm biased, but I think they're very good.
The only thing I wish I could get tickets. I guess I got to get them early. Is against SDSU.
Yeah, that one's a tough one. We usually sell out.
Yeah, one day I'll go. I really want to go. I think it was I don't know if it was 2 years ago where they were losing, and then they did like a Hail Mary.
Oh, was that 3 years ago?
Yeah, then it was 3 years ago.
That was a wild, wild play.
Do you go to that game, right? Do you go to those SDs?
I try to go to all the games. I haven't made it to all of them, but I try to go to all of the home games to the extent that I can. Last year, I only missed one football game. Mm-hmm. This year, I obviously didn't go to Portland State, so now I guess I'm going to the rest of them. And then my oldest son, still plays basketball for Grinnell College, so I miss more basketball than I would like. But he's going to graduate this year, so then I'll be able to go to a lot more home games on the basketball court too.
Okay. What's your favorite sport to watch? Is it basketball?
I'm not supposed to have a favorite, but since I played women's basketball in college, I would have to say that one's they're all fabulous. That one's got a little extra spark for me just because that's where I played.
So you played college basketball.
Yes.
How was it? Oh,
It was interesting. It was, I mean, you kind of have this instant network of friends. There's a sense of pride wearing the name of your school across your chest and trying to represent them as the best human being you can be, and perform athletically as well. So I enjoyed it. It's a lot more work now than it was then, though. I will tell you that. We did not spend that many hours in the gym and in the weight room and all the things, but that was more years than I care to mention.
Yeah, because even when I talked to Grace about it, she mentioned, because I asked her, when you it was during the summer, how long is y'all's practices, and it was like almost like a full-time job. I was like, oh snap, how do you balance that out?
Mm-hmm.
She says it's hard. So now I got to give credit to all these like student athletes. They
are committed.
Yeah, and then another one that I did last week, Miles.
Yeah,
it was because I got the email and I saw the news. It said there's someone from USD going.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, who is it? And it said incoming freshman going to the Paralympics.
Yeah.
I was like, let me look it up. And then I saw because of the time difference, I didn't see it live, but I saw the badminton. And same thing. I didn't know about badminton. And I was telling him, I was like, you play like hard and intense. And it's insane. You guys don't want to have like a badminton team at USD?
I don't know if that's an NCAA sanctioned sport.
But it's very interesting. And then that's a cool thing about Vermillion or the USD. You meet different people.
Yes.
Especially like people from other countries or other states. And then, since it's a small town, you get to meet like, hey, for example, Grace Larkins. We get to meet, someone like Miles. So you get to meet someone super smart, this and that. And then even now, like, hey, I'm talking to USD president. Like, I feel like it would be super hard if it was like in a giant city. But it's really cool. I do enjoy it. But also, if you talk about it, is there like some stuff that I don't want to say you don't like, but the stuff people don't know about being president? Like, I had the misconception, like with my wife, I was like, you guys get to do, you're in office, you get to travel, this and that. But it seems you're always busy. And then I'm pretty sure it could be stressful also.
Yeah, I try not to focus in on the stressful parts and lean into the parts that bring joy. I remember we talked about COVID a little bit earlier, but I remember COVID just sucked all the joy out of the job, right? Because I wasn't able to interact with students in the way that I had in the past. I wasn't able to interact with alum and donors in the way that I had in the past. And it's those interactions that really bring energy to a person, right? It feels like, wow, this is what USD has done for this person. And that's really gratifying and motivating. So those are the parts I like to focus on.
Okay. No, it's really cool. Would you recommend, like for example, if I said, hey, you know what? Hopefully I become president of the university. Would you recommend that type of job, or it's?
Yeah, I mean it's hard. I would say, if you're truly deeply passionate about it, because it does take a lot of time. And I think the only way to do it is if it's your passion. If it's not, then it's just a job. And I don't know that it would work out as well that way. But if you really believe in the mission of the institution, then you should go for it.
And what are the positives about the job? What are those? Because one of the positives I see, well, like you get to, this is what I think when I see it.
Yeah.
You get to, like for example, in sports, you get to go meet, you can meet the athletes. You get to maybe travel to different places. You get to meet different like people. It could be outside of the university, donors, this and that. The house. But what do you like about the job?
All of that. I really enjoy move-in day when all the students are coming back to campus. Energy in the community and in the university just really elevates and magnifies its huge energy shift. and to see all those incoming students that are so excited about their future and their families that are proud of them, and a little bit nervous because they're leaving their child with us, and then I think graduation, that's another incredible day where these students are heading off into the world to get their first career job, and you can see the excitement and the anticipation, and in some cases a little bit of anxiety, but just knowing what they're about to achieve, because I've had the opportunities to meet with alum that tell me their stories that after USC and what their careers were like, and what they felt USD did for them to help them become successful and influential in their communities and engaged citizens, and all of the benefits. So, interacting with the students, hearing from alum and all the stories, and just seeing what the University of South Dakota has done for those individuals is incredibly rewarding.
Do you guys also have, well, I'm guessing every college does, but if someone, let's say, they're about to graduate high school and they did want to go to USD, let's say they're from here, but it was kind of, they couldn't like afford it. Do you guys, I know there's that financial aid, but do you guys do like those scholarships, or how do you guys help out?
So we have a lot of different scholarship options. I would say the most broad reaching are going to be the South Dakota Freedom Scholarship. So if it's a South Dakota resident, that's a scholarship that, if qualified, I think is $5,000 per year. And then that person has to commit to working in the state of South Dakota for 3 years. So that's one program.
Okay.
And then we have a program called Coyote Beginnings, where we try to help that student close the gap. In fact, that's the number one fundraising priority for the University of South Dakota right now, because, there are some really hardworking families with good students that haven't quite figured out how to close that gap.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to help them close that gap. We absolutely want every student that wants the opportunity at an education to have a way to get there under a manageable financial situation.
Okay. Is it better? Well, I don't say better because, so when I went to school, I didn't go to directly to a university or had that college experience life, like how I see the students.
Mm-hmm.
I did a community college, and then you do the transfer.
Yeah.
And I never stayed on campus. I just, did my school, this and that. So when I remember going to, I went to UTA in Arlington. I remember, first of all, I went there, I was like, whoa, this campus is bigger than the community college. And then I see they have activities, they do events, just like here. Like there's a bunch of stuff going on. But would you recommend someone go or do go straight to a university, or does it depend, or does it matter about cost, or like how fast you want it, or the lifestyle? You feel me?
Yeah, I think everybody's situation is a little bit different. There are pros and cons to both paths, no matter what. There's the 4 years of activities. You may not have the same activities at a community college, but at a community college, you may be able to save tremendous amounts of money. Or maybe there are some that don't necessarily need all that traditional college experience, but then there are some that have a really strong desire for it. So I think the situation's different for everyone. The way I've put it, when I've talked with individuals that are looking at potentially technical school or 4-year school or military path or workforce path, I just tell them that all paths lead to Vermillion. We'll see you someday.
You're right. Because I'm telling you, the plan, I remember when I got the job here, I swear the plan, we were just going to do 1 year and then go back.
Here you are.
Yeah, and here we're involved with USD stuff, community, and this and that. Hopefully we could close out on that house this year. Now we're hey, I guess we're stuck, which is good. I didn't know about all the places. I was like, we're gonna live here? And
it's a wonderful place.
It is. It's cool. Now, because we're running out of time, is there any last words, shout outs, or anything you want to give out?
No, just a general shout out to the community and to the faculty and staff and the students. And, I've lived in Vermillion now for, 18 years. And I don't know that I had ever stayed in one place this long before that. So truly blessed and privileged to be able to live in a community like this and be a part of a university that is so amazing.
Cool. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on.
Yes, my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.